Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting on Tuesday, December 6th. Mrs. Mazursky, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Stetson? Yes. Ms. Boyd? Yes. Mr. Costello?
Here, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please also join me for the Peace Builders Pledge. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put-downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about hurts I've caused, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day. Under the open meeting law, I'm informing the public that this meeting is being videotaped by Marshfield Community Media. If anybody else is taping this meeting, either audio or video, please notify us of such at this time. Seeing that, I would just like to very quickly start with a moment of silence. Marshfield had a really rough week last week. Obviously, everybody saw the news, and I'd just like you to please hold the Matson family in your hearts and in your prayers. So if we could please just have a quick moment of silence for the Matson family, especially the two who were brutally taken from us this past week. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino. I know we have a spotlight on excellence that I think is being
on hold.
Postponed.
On base, yes. Ms. Neil and Assistant Ms. Will Jackson could not be here tonight. Ms. Neil's under the weather, as are many folks around the community right now. So she was going to be speaking about their TDIS, positive behavior interventions and supports. But we're going to have to move that to another school committee because they were not able to be here. They were very excited and very upset that they were not able to present. But we'll give them their time and spot for sure.
We look forward to hearing that when they're in. I'm going to take the student representatives next. Yep, so why don't we start with our student representatives. How are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Awesome. The floor is yours.
To start with, SRS, they have the book fair from the 2nd to the 9th this week. They have trimester one report cards come out on the 9th, last day of the fair. They have conferences on the 12th and the 14th, and they also have their winter conference on the 20th. Then with Martinson, they had on the 30th of November, they had Cards and Cocoa, which was hosted by the PTO. They have their trimester one ends on the 2nd, and they have parent-teacher conferences on the 12th and 14th as well. With Daniel Webster, their term ends on the 2nd, and they have a report card on the 9th. They are having a winter concert on December 16th, and they're having a school council meeting on December 13th. At Ames Way, they're having a book fair that ended with that one from last week. And they their term ended on the 2nd, and they have report cards on the 9th. And then at Ames Way, their term also ended on the 2nd, and they have from that.
For the middle school, the 7th graders are hosting the teachers' first students basketball game on the 15th. They can sign up in their homerooms with a donation of a canned good, and then there will be a lottery for who gets to play. For high school, seniors are taking a trip to New York this Friday for the language classes, drawing, painting, sculpture, and baking photo. They'll leave at 5:45 and will be back around 11 p.m. They're visiting the Museum of Modern Art. And grades close on Friday for middle school and high school, and college course will be out on the 12th.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Can I ask you guys to stay put for just 1 second while I compliment you? A couple weeks ago for Pride Week at Marshfield High School, I just want to say you all did an awesome job. I got to see a couple of the things there. Mr. Granatino, Dr. Martin, and I got to judge the shopping cart competition, and that was really cool. That's one of the best we've ever seen.
Fantastic.
A really fierce competition. And obviously,
really
they really did. The sophomores were great. And the seniors obviously were great too. And then the seniors surprise. The win streak continues.
So Mr. Miller thinks there's a scam going on. Yeah, I don't know.
And then the pep rally and just the spirit you can feel throughout the whole school. I think you guys deserve a lot of credit for that, so congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Having been in other districts, we always seen the spirit and pride, but Marshfield really does it to the nines as far as putting together a lot of school spirit and collaborative efforts, and it's not just around the holidays, it's throughout the year, so really should be commended.
Absolutely. Best student council in the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our informational, and then take our turn.
Sure. Just a couple of brief announcements. Two that you already know, we've sent things out, you've received emails, most likely, from two principals who are going to be leaving the district. We want to publicly thank them. We don't have enough time to talk about all the good things that they've done for the town of Marshfield over the last 30 some odd years. Principal Tuesday came here, I believe, in 2003, 2004. 2004, that was my first year as principal at Bridgewater Rain. Mr. Campia came in 1996 after being in other districts for about 22 years. And Mr. Luther came in from Quincy, and they both really just made such an impact on this town. They continue to make an impact on this town and our school district. Mr. Campia in special education before he became principal at Dean's Way. Mr. Cruther in his years as principal, overseeing the new school project, which is no easy task, and just all the things that come with that job at both schools for so many years. And they're going to be huge shoes to fill. But first and foremost, we just want to thank them and wish them the best. They deserve the time that comes with retirement and the ability to do things that they want to do. And I'm sure they're both going to continue to be pretty busy folks, but they have done there's countless acts of kindness and support for our students, for our staff, for our families, and they will be missed. Mr. Campia is going to be leaving us a little earlier than the end of the school year. He'll be with us till the end of February, and so we're going to be putting together a group to search for an interim principal to get us through the remainder of the year at the Amesway School. So that would start from March 1 through the end of the school year, but at that point, once we have our interim in place, we'll start a full search for a permanent replacement. Just so you know, the idea behind that is it's tough to get a full range of candidates who might want to apply for the full-time job, but leave their district in the middle of the school year. So that's why this is a new thing. Many districts, if they lose a principal or district leader during the school year, they'll have an interim to finish up the year, and then they'll put together a full search for their replacement in the spring. And with Mr. Cruther, we'll probably be posting that position after the holidays and start a full search. There'll be committees for both of those positions, search committees that will work. And typically how that goes is the search committees will do the initial interviews, they'll vet the candidates, do the initial interviews, and then hand up to me a couple finalists for me to meet with, and we'll have meetings with parents and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's a lengthy process. Obviously, any principalship is a big task to replace. High school principal being the largest school in the district is usually a pretty big task. So we're excited for it. There's going to be a lot of great candidates that want to join our team, I'm sure, and I look forward to seeing them. But first and foremost, I just want to take the time to make sure the district takes the time to thank and reflect on the impact that these two gentlemen have had on the schools for many, many years. So they will be missed. Also, just a little update. Won't be starting until probably March, but we'll be renewing our strategic plan we did about 5 years ago, and working with a group that's been doing a lot of PD work with us throughout the TLA. Will come in and work with us. We'll have a similar format. I'm sure we'll have parents involved, students, staff, school committee members, administrators. Probably like a March to June process for that, so we can have our new plan in time for the end of the school year as we bring together school improvement plans and getting us ready for the summer retreat, those types of things. So I'll have more details as we get a little closer, but tentative start time for that process is going to be probably March. Okay. Just one thing, it's been a while, we missed the meeting due to folks just being under the weather a couple of weeks back before Thanksgiving, but I want to commend the high school students, the Theatrical Society there, with their performance of Puffs before the holidays. I had no idea what that was about when I got there. It was hilarious. I hadn't laughed that much at school play in many, many years, and it was a lot of fun. The kids did an amazing job. The staff worked hard with them. Parent volunteers. It was just a really nice show, and the crowds were great. They had big attendance at all of the showings, so that was really nice. I want you to know as well, we've been meeting with the DPW, members of the DPW, to go over winter plans for weather-related issues that might crop up. Hopefully we'll have a easy winter, but you never know around here. So we have to be ready for everything, but we've been over protocols and how we want to handle certain things. And it was a good meeting. Shared a lot of things learned from the past. We always try to look, the previous year and see what worked, what didn't work, and then try to make improvements upon that. So we had a good meeting before the Thanksgiving break with those folks. And just one final thing, just today, I don't know if Dr. Martin's going to say something about it, but our elementary leadership team had a meeting over at Governor Winslow, and we got to visit a few classes to see the Bridges program, math program in action. And Ms. Hayes over in the first grade there, and Mr. Talachi in the fourth grade had their kids working on a variety of activities based on this new program, and it was phenomenal. And the best part about it was not also the math that they were doing and comprehending and presenting was great, but just the energy and enthusiasm the kids really, this Bridges program builds in a lot of collaboration with their peers, and there's a lot of fun activities that are tied into it. Not that math isn't always fun, but sometimes it helps to have a little built-in enthusiasm in these programs. And to see, and Dr. Mark will probably be able to elaborate better than I, but to see the engagement that the students had there, they're working with each other in the first grade, sharing thoughts and ideas, and then being able to express them. It's noticeably different, and the teachers have been talking about that. It's a lot of work. Our teachers have been working very, very hard at putting together the new program and getting used to it, but they're already seeing the rewards of this program, and it's really pleased to see it in our leadership team, but to see it firsthand with our math coaches, and it was a nice morning. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grantino. Dr. Martin?
I will just add, last month we actually were at Ames Way. We saw Mrs. Nyland doing the math, member corner part of the math program. And then it was a first grade teacher, Mrs. Hermans at Ames Way, who just sent us an email today with a sample of student work that she couldn't believe that her students were able to do at this point here. So, yeah, it was a great morning, and it's really good to see that everyone's on board with the program. It's really working hard. That's all I have because I was on.
Mr. Miller?
Yeah, a couple quick things just on the horizon for the committee. Next, in January, we'll be coming, I'll give you an update now. This is our last meeting before we meet again on January 10th, I believe, January 10th. On January 10th, we'll be looking to bring forward potentially a tuition adjustment for our early childhood program. As you know, we're moving to a new building in September, and we're building a budget, and we're going to look at the tuition for that building. Also working with Courtney Goods, the director, on how many rooms we're going to have for next year, and how that plays out with staffing as well. So there's a lot of work to be done there, and they typically put the registration out at the end of January, so we got to kind of fast track that. Along those same lines, I've been talking with Mr. Howerton, Carl Howerton, over at the high school about driver's ed and that budget. We're in the process of purchasing 2 new vehicles. The vehicles they're using are 2010, 2011, 2012, so they're a little bit on the older side. Adjusting that budget as well, so there'll be a minor tuition adjustment there as well, and that'll be coming in January. Also, Transportation Committee, we need to reconvene that. There's work to be done there as far as next school year. I need to get a transportation RFP out because our contract is up this year. It goes into effect next fiscal year, a new contract. So that bid will have to go out, but in order to get that bid out, we have to make some decisions on, not completely, but we need to have some parameters in there for what we're going to do next school year. And we talked a lot about different scenarios, so I have a couple ideas that we can talk about with the committee and then bring it back with the subcommittee, and obviously bring it back to the full committee, and that'll be ramping up in January as well. So lastly, FY24 budget. We've started that process. We talked with the Leadership Council, putting together the financial plan for 24 through 28. We're meeting, I'm not sure if you guys haven't been informed yet, but we're meeting as a leadership council group next Tuesday, and that's typically when the budget subcommittee, Sean Kendra, you guys can come. We'll adjust according to your schedule, but we'll get an invite out to you. That's the time where we usually talk as a group and really get down on each of those items, because that will be coming forward on the 10th as well for a first read with the full committee, and then hopefully a vote on the 24th, because the budget, the preliminary budget needs to be at that point to the town. So lots going on. I didn't even mention Munis went live on Monday, our new accounting system. We're plugging away on that as well. So lots of stuff going on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Any subcommittee reports at this time? Apparently we have a subcommittee meeting, so then looking forward to that. Okay, public participation. We've reached the point where public would like to participate. Mr. Kelly. Welcome to the proverbial microphone. Anytime.
Eric Kelly, Munis Path. There was brought to my attention, which I never knew was on the schools in regards to mock elections. And Mrs. Kevin was, for the most part, pretty good at getting back to my answers. Of course, I asked some more questions of her, and the conversation died off from there, which had me concerned. So supposedly this mock election is headed by the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum, which I'm sure you're all well aware of. My concerns is that they want the votes results back. Now, I've heard from Superintendent Grantino as well as Mrs. Cummett that, oh, it's for the kids to learn about the elections and the process and all that. But, you know, I don't have a problem with that, but when you start sending out information back to an outside organization, especially what's going on in our elections these days, and nobody trusts the results, which they are probably very well within their rights not to, and then you find out this is going on, especially when our students are being surveyed or polled, however you want to look at it, and probably on the basis of they're doing it on how they know how their parents are going to vote. So I did reach out to the JFK Library through their email, and I haven't heard back from the guys to get information from them. So that's another red flag for me right there, guys, because we don't know what's going on with this information and what they're doing with it. Upon my conversations with Mr. Grantino and Mrs. Cummett, I was I'm not aware of this mock election, but they do happen in schools from time to time during the election cycle. So, I mean, he says he's not aware of it, but then he says they do happen from time to time at the schools. So, I mean, which one is it? Getting to Mrs. Cummett, only some classes, now this is going off what they're saying when they want to try and get all the students learn about process and elections and like that. But only some of the classes participated this year. And it was only for the governor's race. That would be all of grade 7 and some of grade 6. So what happened in grade 8 and the rest of grade 6? Why did they participate? Mrs. Kevin cannot answer that. I think that's another red flag for me. Why did not the other teachers participate in this election, this mock election? No, then I inquired about, the parents get informed about this, or the school committee approved this, and so what I was told from Mrs. Cummett, we do not need to get school committee approval, as we do not need their approval. We also do not need to get parent consent, as we are not required to and have not in the past. So here you are, you're delving into children casting a vote, even though they're saying it's a private vote, but the whole thing is that you send it off to an offsite that's collecting this information, And the kids are voting pretty much, I guess you could say, based on how their parents are going to vote, I can't be the impression. So I think the school committee should take this up and should end this practice to this outside firm. The JFK library, or anybody else, in case someone else, in case you do it, somebody else decides to pick it up. I've asked how long has it been going on? It's been going on really the entire time I've been at Mrs. Kemet. I've been at FBMS for presidential elections, which was 12 years. I'm not sure about state elections, but typically most schools participate at it as part of our social studies curriculum to learn civic responsibility and experience voting. My former schools also participated. I do not have those results, and the former teacher that ran the mock elections, Mrs. Cunningham, retired in June 2021. It was up to the teachers, and don't ask me why they did or didn't participate. It's teacher discretion. That's when I was asking why the daily class participated this year. In regards to, she didn't have those results, I was asking in regards to the 2020 election. And that's why I emailed the JFK library, because I wanted to get all the information in regards to all the past elections, all the details that they have received from Marshfield, and I haven't heard back from them. So that is concerning. Oh, excuse me, one more piece here. I think we shared the results in our November 10th newsletter. We did not notify parents ahead of time, as we are not required to. We also never have in the past, and it was up to the individual teachers. We were not aware of what teachers would have. We have the students use the ballots and mock voting. I will ask the teacher requesting the materials what she has. So it was. She's telling me November 10th, but when I look back at all the communications from Mrs. Kemet or the FBMS, every Friday when it goes out, it was October 28th. And according to this mock student election from JFK Library, they didn't want anybody to vote until October 30th, and it sent the results into them October 30th. And I did ask her if she messed up on that, and that was one of the things that she's not going to respond back to me on. So we have, there's a thing you touched up on in regards to a couple of principals retiring.
Mr. Kelly, I'm just going to ask you to wrap up shortly.
I will do my best.
Yeah, being lenient with time, but please.
I'm trying to, the principles, and it's one thing that's rolled through my mind over the last year or so is, I don't know if it's by law or what, but I don't understand why we don't rotate the principals from elementary, middle school, high school. I think it'd be a good rotation, and they wouldn't be in the same building, and I think they bring new experiences to the schools each time. My other concern is that we have a so-called elected governor coming into office, and we don't know what she's going to be bringing in regards to what we went through the last couple of years, and I think it has a lot of parents on edge right now and waiting to see what she's going to bring, as well as Destiny. You know, my thing is that Commissioner Riley's comments last year would last through October 1st, and at that point, unvaccinated students and staff would remove their masks as long as the entire school building has a vaccination rate of 8%. Riley said having a universal mandate in place would provide an incentive for more people to get vaccinated and ensure a smooth and safe reopening. So, right there, you know, I and quite a few parents at the RTP try to fight back on this, and we didn't have any help, especially from the school committee or any of the staff. And, you know, I would look at that, all those kids that wanted to get the masks off and did so and took the jab, you guys are complicit in helping that, because you went along with something that they shouldn't have, especially sent down by Commissioner Riley as well as Governor Bacon.
Mr. Kelly, you're over 7 minutes. I'm giving you 30 seconds.
Which I would say was illegal, and I think you guys are fully within your right to fight it back on behalf of the parents and students on this. So I will end it at that. I will take it up next time. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to address the committee at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the MEA update. And I see you're back there. Come on down, Mrs. Marbles.
You actually giving away prizes?
For you? No.
we give a prize every day to every student.
That's right.
Thank you for this opportunity. Sarah Marshfield, President of the Marshfield Education Association. I was going to just wish everybody happy holidays, but I do appreciate Mr. Kelly's concerns, and I do want to very quickly address those. Without giving my age away, I've been doing mock elections as a student and as an educator for more than, I'm not saying, I hate to tell you, longer than you've been alive.
She voted for Wilson.
No, not quite that bad, and I missed Roosevelt by a couple of years too. As with all curriculum and education practices, we try to expose our students to as broad a spectrum of experiences as possible. And one of our principles as educators is to not only help our students acquire skills to become workers and be able to have great careers, but it is to ensure that we have an educated public that will participate in the democratic form of a republic of government that we have. And one of the ways we do that is by having discussions in class and doing things like elections. I am saddened that people think that we're doing this for any nefarious reasons, because we're not. And I hope, Mr. Kelly, you will appreciate that it wasn't because we were trying to, or that we ever would try to support any nefarious things, but what we're trying to do is to give our students an opportunity to participate in a full and rounded education. Some teachers participate because they have time in their curriculum to do it. Some don't because they feel they have more important things to do. But that's one of the wonders of American education, is that we have the flexibility to make sure that we present our students with a wide variety of experiences and information so that they will grow and they will learn and can make these decisions on their own when they become full adults. So I just wanted to make that clear, that this is an experience that students have been having, not just in the past couple of years, not since the Kennedy Center, but I still remember I like signs all over the Bronx, if you were a Teamster. So it's been going on a very, very, very long time, and it's for helping our students grow as people and have a wide variety of experiences. What I originally wanted to say is we all know the holidays are here because Veterans Park is aglow with beautiful lights, as is the rest of downtown Marshfield. And on behalf of our teachers, our ESPs, our CSPs, our tutors, and our assistant principals, we want to wish the whole Marshfield community a joyous, safe holiday season filled with family and friends and food. And we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to share your children with you and help them to develop into wonderful human beings. So thank you very much, and I hope, and this goes to the school committee too. We wish you very, very, and the administration, sorry, Jeff, wasn't trying to exclude you.
No, didn't feel that way.
But we hope you all enjoy the holidays, because we all need that break, and we all need that time with family and friends. So thank you very much. And not good, our year will continue to be moving forward on an even keel. And we'll get to June, and everybody will be a lot happier than we've had in the past couple of years. So thank you very much, and enjoy.
Likewise, so thank you. Okay, we are moving to the old and new business portion of the agenda. I'm going to move things around a little bit, and I'm going to have our friends from the AFS come on up first.
Hello, students here.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Tricia Safley, the AFS advisor at Marshfield High School, and I have with me the president and vice president of our club, Delaney Mayo, and Connor Donovan.
Thanks for being here.
Nothing.
Nothing. Delaney, I have seen you speak to a room full of people from across the state. You always kill it, so don't worry about it.
So we are here, as we used to always be here, We request permission to do our national exchange. And this year we'll be returning to Barker, New York. I remember, I think they were in the note the last time we were there, 5 to 7 years ago now. I remember. And it's the same advisor, the same high school, pretty much the same schedule that we did before. So we're hoping to travel there the last weekend in March, and they'd like to come here first. Here after the weather.
Any questions from the committee? I might put you guys on the spot for a quick second. Tell us a little bit about the experience, what you're looking forward to.
I think it's such a great opportunity, especially post-COVID, to travel somewhere new and learn about how these people who live in the same country as us, but since it's such a different part, their lives are so different. I think it's a great opportunity to be able to go and learn and teach them about how to just find out how the differences in culture.
Yeah,
I had a student from Italy stay with me for just a weekend. We had some kids come over for a fun little international weekend. And I just really loved talking to her. She was really fun to talk to. And I'd love to go to New York and have the kids come here and just like interact with them and see, just even though they don't live that far away, how different lives are.
right. That's very cool. So you're a sophomore, right?
Yes.
And are you also a sophomore?
Yes.
Okay, so you're both sophomores. I was just going to say, your president and vice president are sophomores. That is awesome.
The kids graduated last year, we didn't really have any kids older.
Sure. I'm experiencing that with youth and government. We have a mutual student here. And so that's very exciting. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this. I don't know if anybody else has any questions or comments before we entertain a motion.
I just love having all these trips, like coming back. It's
Yes.
always so exciting. So we're happy for you guys to go.
And I'm sure you're thrilled. Good. Well, thank you for what you do. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Yeah, absolutely.
Quick question, do they have a chance, and I'm just looking geographically, they're located right between two colleges, college towns, Binghamton and Cortland. Do they, as part of the trip, you guys go visit those schools?
No, I mean, we might, we can pass it, if we wanted to, but we'll go to Niagara Falls from there.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
And there's an Amish community up there as well, that's not very well known, but, so last time we went, we went to their high school, we visited the Amish community in Niagara Falls, and it's around they're on.
Just jumped out of it because they've been putting up billboards around town, around the state. I don't know if you saw that, but some of the SUNY schools, the University of New York schools, depending on what your grades are, you can get Massachusetts state tuition to go to places like Binghamton or Cortland State. They're all Geneseo.
Harvard.
Thanks.
That's cool. Right.
Right.
There you go. And I'm sorry, you may have said it. How many students?
With both 12 kids.
12 kids. Okay, that's great. That's awesome.
In the same returning,
Yes.
they'll be spending about
So yeah, so it'll be about 10, 12, we'll see, we're working on it. Their club used to be much larger as well, but I think it's a great initiative.
Nice.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the MHS American Field Service Club trip to Barker, New York from March 23rd to the 26th, 2023. Is there such a motion on the floor? So moved for Ms. Stetson. Is there a second? Second for Ms. Boyd. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's a 3-0-0 there, Ms. Wazorski. Have a great time.
Thank you very much.
Send us an email and tell us how it goes.
Happy holidays.
Yes, you too.
You too.
Okay, we'll go with the, just the regular order on the agenda now. Sure. We'll turn that over to you, Mr. Granatino, for the update on the potential partnership with the South Shore Vocational Technical School.
Let's stand up just so we can kind of. Yeah. So we spoke going back last year, I believe, started to talk about possibly partnering with South Shore Vocational High School. And there's a lot of moving parts to it, but it's something that I think is still really important for us to take a look at and to go forward with, at least there's a couple of things that we have to do as a district and as a community to eventually be considered to be able to join the regional. But we spent a lot of time talking to the superintendent there. He is a good leader, wants his program to grow. They're looking at expanding their facilities, actually building a new high school. They're in the mix right now with the NSBA folks. So we've spent a lot of time talking with them. It's been taking a little longer than we originally expected, but there's a lot of financial considerations that we had to kind of sift through. We wanted to make sure that we were doing things that were not only in the best interest of our students, but in the best interest of the community itself. So again, this is a refresher. Some of this is old information for you folks, but these are the current members of the 8 districts here. Abington, Cohasset, Hanson, Norwell, Rockland, City, and Whitman. Probably Rockland, Whitman, Hanson, and Abington probably have the most students out of those 8. Just a quick background, each town is allotted X amount of spots based on their 8th grade population, and if they use up all their spots, but say somebody else doesn't use their spots, so say Situate doesn't use all of theirs that they have allotted, then one of the other member schools can access those spots, okay, and have more kids go in. What's been happening at the Marshfield over the years, we always send kids there anywhere from 4 or 5 to a dozen, maybe 15 years back. And we would get the slots like other towns that weren't members that weren't used by the 8 member schools. But what's been happening is it's been so popular, hands-on learning has been really widely popular of late, and all those spots are being used up, so there's fewer and fewer spots. And I'll show you where we're at right now with the Marshfield numbers. But that's how that works, the existing seats that they have. And then there's about 635, I believe, students that go there currently. These are the programs they have, everything from allied health to mental fabrication, culinary arts, cosmetology, engineering. And again, with the new high school that they're looking to build, they're looking to expand on some of these programs and maybe even bring a few new ones as well. These are the athletic programs, so they have a very comprehensive and competitive athletic department. They compete not only against other vocational schools, but other public high schools as well. And the South Shore was in the running for football playoffs up until last week, I believe. These are the clubs and activities. Again, this is stuff that I shared at town meeting last year to kind of get the ball moving forward. Right now, there's 5 seniors from Marshfield that are enrolled, 2 juniors. They moved into Marshfield after they'd already been accepted, and 1 freshman who moved to us after they were accepted as well. So we have 8 students from Marshfield there currently. These are the number of freshman applications, so kids coming out of middle school that have applied over the last 4 years, and you can see that 5, 7, now 15. The interest is there. People are really taking a look at South Shore, what they have to offer, and they feel that it's really more in their wheelhouse, and we want to try to do if we can support that. But again, we're at the beck and call of however many spots might be available. And again, with membership comes a guaranteed number of spots. So that's probably the number 1 incentive as to why we're looking at that, to know that we can get X amount of students, slots available to our students. The cost, just a brief breakdown of what the current cost would be, for our students. There's a tuition that's set by the state. Right now, it's roughly just under $17,000. So if you look at our 8 students times that, we get $135,000 going towards tuition, almost $136,000. There's also some special education costs for a handful of students there, equating to $18,000. And so our tuition there for South Shore Regional this year is $154,497. In addition to that, the transportation, we have to use our vans to transport them there. It's approximately $20,000 for those costs, about $3,000 for students. So right now, our approximate cost for students, the 8 students that are coming from Marshfield to go to South Shore Tech, again, not as member schools. I mean, we're visitors there, but well accepted and well embraced, is just a little over $21,000. If we want to join, it's not just the cost of the tuition that we know those numbers are fixed. For the most part, they go up on a year-to-year basis, change a little bit. The operating costs are determined by enrollment, by the designated school spending, Chapter 78, the capital costs. Right now, there's about $895,000. If these numbers have changed, Mr. Miller, just let me know.
Well, yeah, so if I interject just on the capital, because this is from the previous presentation. The capital costs annually are in that, and this is capital, similarly to how we do capital, anything in addition that's not going to long-term debt that they're utilizing. The 895 was for fiscal '22, and that's, as it says here, it's a portion by the percentage enrollment of all 8 districts. So it's not $895,000 for us.
No.
It's broken up. So, but also, it's fully expected that there may, by the time we are accepted, if we are accepted, the capital cost will annually be, for the most part, probably zero because of the school project. As we know from the Marshfield High School project, the high school comes with capital. And so it's one big project.
So that would be.
So that those costs, you won't see those costs any further in the presentation.
And debt, and we'll talk about debt a little bit. Right now, there's currently no debt. They don't have any long-standing debt. If they go and get approved by MSBA, in high school though, and it gets approved by the town meetings at each of the member schools, then obviously the debt that comes with the high school is going to be something that has to be shared amongst all the member schools. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And then the transportation costs, again, that are shared proportionally by the 8 schools. It would be 9 if we were to join. Would be shared, built into the tuition for our students. Couple moving figures, and this is where we spent a lot of time working with Mr. Hickey and going back and forth on some of the numbers. Right now, if we were to be a member there, the state has a formula by which they look at our 8th grade population. We would have the biggest 8th grade class coming into there. So they say that we would represent almost 18% of the population if the typical number of kids came out of our school based on our number. Now we know that we might not hit that typical number for a couple of years because people are going to have to kind of get geared up to realize that we're a member, what it entails. So those first couple of years, our numbers probably aren't going to be as big as the state might figure them to be. But that 18% is something that the folks at Social Work Tech are looking at for us to help in sharing with their stabilization fund. This is a fund that they've been putting into, the member schools have been putting into for probably 40 years. And it's risen to a level of just over $2.1 million. And this is what they figured would be the balance as of this past summer. It might be a little higher now. But if we were to become a member, one of the asks of the district is to come up with a proportion of that $2.1 million, more or less to kind of buy into an asset that already exists. So these schools have been putting into it for years. A new school they were expected would have to kind of put in their share so they could reap the same benefits, but having put something towards it as opposed to just get benefiting from it with no cost put forth. So if that was just come to fruition, it would be $392,000, $392,181. But that would be spread out over 10 years. They would not expect that each in the first year. So over 10 years, we'd be looking at $39,218.10. If we had the ability to accelerate those payments, we could. But if not, that would be our share for 10 years as part of being a new member, and that would get us squared up on the stabilization fund. The bigger number that we've been going back and forth on, and in our last meeting with Mr. Hickey, got some better clarification from their group of what it would entail if they do have a major project like a new high school. And again, this is right from their documentation, notwithstanding the existing regional agreements. In the first fiscal year of membership, so if we were to join, because if we were able to get in, get past 6 out of the 8 towns in the next year's town meetings, past Marshfield, it would not be, we could get non-member kids in if they had spots available next year. It would really be for the 24-25 school year. That would be a full member. And in that first year, we would not be assessed any debt service. Now, they're probably not going to have any debt service because if they get into high school, it's not going to be for a few years until after that. But if they did have any debt service, we would not have to pay in that first year. If there is new or existing authorized debt to be paid during Marshfield's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th year, its debt share will adjust with each fiscal year based on the school enrollment as of the most recent October 1st report, divided by the total in-district school enrollment that year. So what that means in a roundabout way is that 17% that they think that we could represent, the state kind of says that's our share. if we had to pay 17% of whatever the debt is of a new high school, that'd be a heck of a lot of money for probably not a whole lot of kids in the school at that time. So what they're going to do for those first 5 years, those next 4 years after the first year, is just look at our previous October 1st. And so if we had 6 kids out of 635 students, so we have 1% of the population, we're going to be responsible for 1% of the debt that we have. Okay, if there's 12 kids, well, we're responsible for 2%, and so forth and so on. So a lot less than that 17%, because that was really something that was, and I spoke to that, I believe, at a meeting back, I think, at the end of the summer or the fall, and it's something that, you know, we were hoping wasn't going to be a roadblock, and they've come back and kind of adjusted it a little bit. So those first 4 years, they'll look at our numbers, so we'd be paying a fair share if we were a member, and not something that would be a larger share than our student representation here. If there's any new or existing authorized debt to be paid during Marshfield's 6th fiscal year, assuming that that is FY30, its debt share will be fixed for the duration of that debt based on October 1st, 2028 enrollment. So at that point in time, we'll have been in the district for 5 years, going to be number 6. They'll look at the previous year's number, the previous year's number, and that's kind of where we're at that point in time. 5 years in, we might have, say, 33 kids, 32 kids. That's about 10%, no, 5% of the population. We'd be responsible for that. So whatever the debt is at that time, I'm going to walk you through what a mock, right, it could be.
They don't necessarily know what the full enrollment of a new school or a renovated school would be. Right now, the enrollment's 680. They have preliminary discussions have been around 850 to increase their enrollment. So those numbers can potentially change. So that's where the percentages kind of, it's an estimate.
But it would be very unlikely. Maybe we would make up over 100 students in that school, but I'm guessing it might not be. I mean, I think if we had 10 to 15 kids per class, so 50 to 40, 45 to 60 kids, that would probably be in the high end. We might have more, like I think Citrus has about 32 to 40. I'm guessing we'll probably be in that range-ish, but it'd be a lot less than the 17% that we were looking to have it covered if they went with the state formula. If there's any new unauthorized debt to be paid during Marshfield's 7th fiscal year, that was not fixed previously in C. So C was the one where they look at our last, that was 6 years. They look at the previous October number. Its share will be fixed based on the school enrollment as of the most recent October 1st report. So anything that comes in after the fact, whether it's beyond the new school, let's say they can build a new turf stadium that wasn't covered in the first debt project, and there's more debt associated with that, they would go by our previous October 1st numbers. And any new authorized debt to be paid during Marshfield's 8th fiscal year and beyond is something that starts with FY32 that was not fixed previously in D. This debt share shall follow the regional agreement language in section 5. D, which is the same as a 3 fiscal year look back. So at that point in time, they can look back at our 3 previous years and see what that average is as far as the number of students. But again, that's outlined in the agreement, and I put in the folder for you folks the existing agreement, but they are already working on, he's working on a draft of what the new agreement would look like if we were a member, and that's something moving forward to our next meeting, so you can have a look at that right before that for informational purposes. So just a scenario, debt scenario for you to take a look at. Again, these numbers are estimates based on kind of what MSBA has been spending on new high schools. Again, a vocational high school is usually a little bit more expensive because there's a lot more bells and whistles and technology and things that are needed for the different programs. But estimating that if this is higher or lower, the proportion is going to be about the same. So you can go up and down the same. New high school might cost $250 million, so a $100 million Marshfield High School is a bargain compared to new high school prices. MSBA, if they were to put the project into their domain, they'd probably cover about 150 of it, and then that would be a member cost of $100 million to spread out if we were a member over 9 schools as opposed to 8. And the annual cost of interest, Thomas was doing some quick estimations, 30 years with 5% interest, about $6.4 million a year that would be spread out amongst the 9 schools. if we, so over 60, if it was a 650 person school, as it currently is now, it would be about $9,900 per student that was in the school. And then if it was an 850 person school, like they're eyeing, but they're not sure if they're going to get that or not, it'd be a little less per student, $7,500, $7,580. So if we had 32 students there, kind of based on 5 or 6 years, that might be our number. We would have the assessment, which is basically just in the number earlier on in the presentation, would be at about $640,000 or $20,000 per student. That's just tuition. The debt assessment, though, over 30 years would be at $9,900 per student. If this is again a 650 school, and that would be $316,800 for the debt. And then that stabilization fee would be over 10 years, an extra $39,000. So instead of the $20,000, $21,000 estimated for just regular enrollment, you may have to cover a cost of a little over $31,000 per student. That is with all the other schools. This isn't any higher or lower really than what the other schools would have, just based on the number of students that they would have. That would determine how much overall money is spent. But after 10 years, again, the stabilization fee for us would be covered, and then after 30 years, the debt assessment would be covered as well. A lot of moving parts though, and again, when there is a building, just like the building in Marshfield, it has to pass an override in each of the towns. Okay, or at least in 2/3 of the towns that really have to pass, and then there's a few more details. It might be the actual number of votes.
The vote
that are
the vote for a building in a regional school district is congregate. So it would be all 9 towns voting. This is not the override. This is for the building.
Right.
It would go to the ballot box just like it did in Marshfield, but it would go to the ballot box in all 9 towns, and it's a straight vote between the 9 towns.
So you add up the votes.
So one town may have 90%, another town may have 10%, but that's going to be 50%, depending on how big the town
Let's
is.
say it's Marshfield, 10% of Marshfield.
It's a regional
10% of Cohasset. So that's just to get the project moving forward, and then after that,
Then there's
each town does
potential,
it however they want to do it, depending on the cost.
how it's financial.
They might need an override, or they can build it into the budget, obviously.
The key with this right here, and what we really negotiated with South Shore, was to equate our annual cost with how many students were attending. We didn't want this number, projected total student cost, with that 17% figure, and we only had 5% of the students, that projected total per student cost could have been $80,000 per student, which would be outrageous. This, tying it to the number of students we have attending on that debt assessment, allows us to have we're going to pay for the students that are attending that per student cost.
So that's all the talk on the building, but again, to go back over how, if the community is willing to move forward, and I would support the idea of moving forward, at least bring it to town meeting, so that our folks could have a chance and be presenting in the spring and share with them all the costs and all the things that come with it, all the benefits that come with it. But if it passed here, it still has to pass at 6 of the 8 of the towns. And the towns are starting to put together their town meeting warrants. But first we thought Situate was going to be collecting their articles by December 20th. So we had to cancel that last one. I was a little nervous. But then Mr. Kelly said that Situate switched it. So their articles are due sometime in January. So we would have time. And again, that doesn't commit anything. And again, these towns could have it in their warrant for town meeting, and they may not pass it. Some of the schools that want more seats might feel put off by us because we could represent a challenge to some of those seats that they've had in the past. Others might like the fact that we can help share in some of the costs to the existing budget as well as to the debt that might come down the road. So for that reason, they want to have us join. Again, I look at it strictly from an educational standpoint, and I think that these programs would benefit our students and to be able to get them in there. Right now, it's still in the new school. If it gets bigger, it might allow us to get more spots if we want a member, but there's no guarantee. And to be able to have a guarantee of X amount of slots in there, that could, if we've built up some years and got kids really interested there, we may do a little bit more based on the fact that, again, some of those districts just don't use all of the spots that they have lots of. So that would be a nice thing. That would be down the road. So right now, the actual article that would come forward isn't finalized yet. The South Shore Tech is working with the folks at DESE to get that done. And the article itself, or the agreement that would be drafted for us if we were members, is being finalized as we speak. And I can get a rough copy of that to you. It's really not much different, just adding language pertaining to us, talking about some of the expectations financially that are covered here, and that would be able to finalize before town meeting. But to be able to get on the docket for our town meeting, you would want to have the committee support that, and then we'll share it with the town. If the town feels comfortable with it, great. I understand that someone might have questions, and we'll try to address those as best we can. But I do think it's good for the kids to have this option. It benefits the students that are there now. I know a lot of friends of my children that are different situated, and they've enjoyed their time there, and they walk out of there with a lot of options that they may not have if they were in a traditional school setting. So, any questions? Group? A lot.
The last time that someone joined
Yeah.
the town.
Probably 1980 something. They've been pretty much stuck at the age. They're young. It might have been Hanson, might have been the last time. But Hull looked at it. I know they looked really hard at it, and I think I don't know. I can't really speak to what made them move away from it at the end. I don't think it got to the point of getting to their town meeting. But they ended up looking at it, and it just didn't work for whatever reason for them.
And then assuming, like, given that we don't have as many opportunities to send students there, it sounds like all the member towns are probably utilizing all of their
Some
allotted spots.
of the small, it's kind of divvied up, I think. We look at Hanson, Whitman, Rockland, Abington. Those four use up all of their spots and then grab some. Yeah, Hanover, Norwell,
But they're
Situate,
full,
Hanson.
like the school is full.
The school's
It's full.
So,
It's
okay.
full.
And that's the reason why we
That's
no
why we
longer
can't
can
get
get
kids.
students in as a
Right,
member.
so, okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of toss up, it's like, if you do become a member, we're potentially taking spots from another town. But on the flip side,
Yes and no.
helping
Yeah, I mean,
financially taking that for
Yeah. because.
And that's a part of the process why they've just been accepted into MSBA to start that process. So it's down the line.
Yeah.
A new school there would open, a rough estimation would probably be July of 2027, and that's even pushing it. More likely, probably September 28th. Maybe September 27th, but more likely September 28th, because we know how long that process takes. So that is one of the reasons why they're looking at potentially 850 as a moment, because with the Marshfield included,
Yeah.
we take X number of spots, but that's going to potentially open up more spots for those other schools too.
Okay.
Because we're there, I mean, I don't think there's any way we reach our full allotment.
And Tom, I forget, it's not until this January, February, articles for our town meeting. And is it January?
Actually, I was looking at
And he gave us that information.
it. It's typically in January.
So you don't need a vote from us tonight. This is first reading.
It can be looked at as a first read. I think we have a chance in the January 10th meeting to probably include formally. I mean, we find out that they needed it sooner than expected, then call a special meeting just to have that.
So you don't have to do
But we'll get more information. I know folks at South Shore have been working with the state to get the information that they need, and they kind of share that with us as well as they can. So we'll have that draft of the agreement with our information included. You guys, we can get it to you before next meeting just for information purposes.
That'd be great.
We could have a vote at the next meeting. I'll double check with Vicky if there's anything that's even before that. I think we're okay.
Well, the numbers are very helpful.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. It's a good thing for students. I have a cousin from Rockland who actually went to South Shore Tech and served him very well. So I know they do a good job there, and I think it's probably a good thing. But we'd like to see whether they come up with, and appreciate the thorough presentation. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
We're going to go on to you, Dr. Martin, for our curriculum update. And I don't know what I even looked up.
There's a lot of stuff, so. All right, so I just wanted to give an update on a couple of things. I've been talking a lot about curriculum and PD, so sometimes what I say doesn't always get you, like, you don't understand it because I just speak and keep going. So I wanted to just show you a few things so that if you wanted to go back and see it at any point you could. So we'll talk about curriculum and then we'll talk about PD and what's been going on so far. So I've been talking a lot over the past few years about developing our curriculum maps and our curriculum documents. And so I updated everyone a couple of weeks ago on, they are on the website now. So if you go to our menu, you go to curriculum instruction, there is a section right here, and I actually can show you. So you go to the menu, curriculum instruction, down here. So you have the Furnace-Brook and the high school are up here. And then if you go here, you will be able to click on biology map, for example. And that is, so all of our maps are in the same format. The high school has the vision of the graduate, and every department is actually assessing different parts of that vision of the graduate. So they had to, for the NEAS requirements, add that in at the top of every map. So all of the maps talk about, they have a unit title or a unit subject, or even if it's unit 1 of the year. They have what content they're covering, the actual standards that that particular unit is addressing and teaching, and then some essential questions for that unit. Some of the essential questions go all year round. And then if they only have it listed here, like the numbers, they actually have a link to the actual frameworks document so that you can see exactly what they're talking about. So I just wanted to show you a few of those. Let's look at math. So if we look at calculus, same thing. So they have the title, the content, the standards, the essential questions, all of that. So they are all in the same format at this point. And then from those, that's only what the public will see because that's kind of the scope and sequence of our year. Behind the scenes, then, for each of those units, they have unit guides that stay within the department that talk about really the knowledge, the skills, and understandings for that unit. They have links to their performance assessments. We really try to have students be more project-based for their assessments, and some of them are still your typical written assessments, but we're trying to make it more meaningful, more relevant. So behind the scenes, that's just like a big overview of those curriculum maps. A lot of the work was done behind the scenes, and that's all internal. So that one I just shared with you. And then, just so that we can keep track of how much work has been done, each year I put together a document. So for example, this is how much work that we did outside of the school year, who the consultant was, if there was one, how many people, how many hours we paid for them to do the work. So each year had a separate document outlining that. So I can keep track of who is ready to go, who was ready to publish, who wasn't ready to publish. And then ultimately, this is where we want to land by the end of this year. We updated this. We got off the cycle a little bit during the pandemic. So this is our curriculum review cycle. It talks about each stage. It's a 5-year cycle. So all of this has to be done. This is our actual cycle. So this is where we're hoping that we are going to land this year. And then by 2024-25, we will be on the then stage 3, and so on. So that's what we're hoping. And then we have templates for each stage that they are going through. So really diving into what their current state is, any recommendations for curriculum revisions, the timelines, the cost, all of that. And then when they get to stage 5, they evaluate and assess what they're doing in order to move forward and kind of dive into the next round. So that's all that curriculum work that we have been talking about for nonstop. So I just wanted to share that with you and just showcase that almost all of the maps are up online at this point. And then the other thing, we talked a little bit about that full PD day in November. This was only our second one that we've had in the district of a full during the school year PD day. So this was our full day, and just this talks about, this is like a quote from National School Boards, but it's about professional learning. I'm trying to stay away from saying professional development and say more professional learning because we're all lifelong learners. So it's more effective when it's specific to the needs, supported throughout an implementation, consistent, aligns with our vision. So that's really where we are trying to go with our PDs, especially starting this year with all the voice of choice. So that one day we had 60 different sessions going on. So this, behind the scenes, this is what Amy McElwain and I were looking at all the time, and our heads were about ready to explode. But it was all color-coded, who was going where, what people were doing. The morning, as you can see, that everybody that was involved, 8 to 9:45, was with our guest speaker. Everyone had a break, but then they all went and did their own sessions. They had lunch at different times so that everybody wasn't at the food truck at the same time. Even the Munis training was taking place on that same day, so everything was at the high school. Everybody was there. So these are just some of the things that we did. Those book studies, there were a lot of different book studies going on, and I'll get into some of that. But every section, like every group of people had their own abilities with it. So our keynote was Dr. Josie Pillow. He's the superintendent from Fall Creek, Wisconsin. And every time I closed my eyes, I swore my nephew was talking because he had the accent, the Wisconsin accent. But he got tremendous feedback. He was talking about building culture 30 seconds at a time, lifting one another up, making sure that we are giving the message that we want people to hear, and really showcasing our strengths. That every interaction matters because every interaction could be the one they talk about for the rest of their lives. He was really, really into that type of positive reinforcement about what we're doing.
Is he a Packers fan?
Of course. He and I were commiserating on it, and it wasn't a bad So we decided, after taking a course actually with Kate Novak and George Kiros, Amy and I decided to try something different. Usually we send out a survey after, and it's almost like, oh, was it a productive use of your day? How was the speaker? Like, rated on a scale from 1 to 5. But we decided to change it up, and we had a survey that today I learned this is important because as a next step I will. So that people really had to stop and think a little bit more about how it impacts what they do every day. So this was one of our teachers' responses after Josie and Filippo about no compliment or sharing of food is too small. We can change someone's life. We're going to build it. As a next step, I will try to share my joy. And this one, every interaction counts. Best way to build culture. I will try to remember this every day I walk to school. He actually had us, I think Tom Rowe had us do this a couple years ago, had us text someone right then and there on the spot who we thought made an impact, and who texted about, was it Patty Casey?
Tom.
Dom Centerino texted Patty Casey, and that was like a big highlight. Like she got highlighted in the middle of the session. It was pretty amazing. And then, of course, Mrs. Pazarski arranged for the food truck to come.
Nice.
Most important thing.
And it was so good. It was delicious. Yeah. Something different. Like people could bring lunch if they wanted, or they went and bought lunch.
It's not just recovered.
Yeah, we didn't pay for
You
that.
paid for that. Individuals.
So then after that, we went into all of those breakout sessions. So leadership worked more with Joe Sanfilippo around how they started almost like branding, I would say, all three. How they got out the positive message, how he's continuing to use social media especially in trying, like they are well known, they are a small district.
And it's a K-12 building.
It's a K-12 building.
That's one building in this.
90, not, under 900 students.
135 students.
But that district in the education realm is well known across the country. So how did they get that? How did they do that? So he was talking to us about ways that we could try some things there.
You think I tweeted on that? He's like.
Oh, he's the 1 minute walk to work. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he does a 1 minute walk to work every week.
He lives across the street from the school.
He does, and so he walks, but he does these leadership messages, and it's a joy to listen to. So other groups, elementary, worked with some of our own staff around trauma-informed practices. So Jen Urardi, Greg Sorensen, Rich Azure, and Jen Sullivan helped lead that.
We did that with the middle school earlier in the fall as well. So
Did it in
we
the
have
high
it in the high school, so pretty much everyone K-12 has had some exposure to trauma-informed education. It's really important to love our kids, unfortunately, have some trauma in their lives. And so giving them more tools to use, to identify those, and when they happen, what the next best steps to take. It's really important stuff.
And again, some feedback about that. More principals, maybe another way to think about trauma-informed teaching, new ideas. As the next step, I will change the way I word something. Like it's just one little thing, one little tweak, but it actually makes a big difference. New educators, so we decided this year, we started a new educator track on all of our professional development days. So Amy Online did a session with them focused on universal design for learning, because they weren't here last year when we had the underlying, kind of that foundational PD around universal design for learning. So they all worked on designing, taking a lesson and really incorporating UBL. So again, I used some feedback, how to dive deeper, fosters engagement, active participation, continue to implement UBL strategies. Then elementary specialists, so our PE, our music, and our art all started a choice picking kickoff where they will have choice sessions for 4, I believe, of the PE afternoons. Because a lot of our PE professional learning this year for elementary is around math, but that doesn't really apply to them, so we wanted to make sure it was more applicable. So all of these things you see across the bottom are choices that they have made. So some of it's around social emotional learning, UBL, there is a culturally responsive design, there is growth mindset, UBL now, so all of those are choices that they are participating in. So one of the specialists, UBL, breaking it down, they were provided a template to evaluate some of their current lessons that came from PD NOVAC. And then elementary classroom teachers and special education teachers really got together and started sharing their top tips to make it through bridges because it is such a heavy lift. So each grade level had a teacher facilitating the group, and they were just sharing some ideas back and forth. Everyone was asked to rank a top tip, and then we actually had a draw where they could get a prize if they got a top tip. So one of our teachers, overall more comfortable with the program, far more appropriate. So this is where we get into the middle and high school. So all of these were separate groups. So these are all of our book studies, our PLCs, that were happening across the district and even elementary. So our reading specialists and our innovation specialists are doing art coaching. So these were all the locations that were happening at once. So it was like being on roller skates for a little while, but it was just phenomenal to see everyone kind of diving in. So each of the book studies and the PLCs also have a course that's built in Canvas. So let me see if I can. So for the SEL PLC, so this is how, so each one of these is a separate PLC group. So one might be from middle school, one might be from high school. They each have meeting agendas in here. Then they have activities, they have resources, they have discussion boards. All of these things are right in Canvas, so they just, it's built so they can just follow along. This one, the Blueprint for English Learner Success, is actually from DESE, and so we built a Canvas course to go along with it, and it's a discussion. So when you wonder what inspires you, what have you learned so far, and you can see down here that our teachers who are part of this group, they respond and then they respond to one another as well. So it's like having an in-person discussion only within Canvas. So that is that one. Foundations for Inclusive Practice, that's another DESE course, but we built it within Canvas. And again, there's some discussions, but they also have to do what DESE requires as part of that, but it's built in Canvas, so they know exactly where to go. Book study for UBL Now, that's one of our books that we've run a couple of times now. So again, each book study number is a different group. So there's 3 groups working on this one book. Amy pulled in some of the things that she and I found through the course and got through the course with Katie. Pulled that in. Again, some discussion questions. You could do it face-to-face or you can do it online. All of these resources are in here, all in one place. So now that these are built, we can actually repeat these book studies in the future, and it will already be built. So that's just, those were just a few examples. And I just pulled some of the feedback. So what about the UBL? Looking at so next step, find ways to get choices effectively and how to teach in small group settings. Another one, cultural equity and diversity, protects all students. Next steps, all to you. So again, it's more than did you find the data whole platform? A lot more. This was just one quote that I had found. Like, teachers have made all of these amazing strides forward in learning, but professional development in a lot of cases is still one size fits all. It really doesn't make sense anymore. So if we want to differentiate for our students, then we need to do the same for our teachers. So that is our goal. And so I was hoping even if I couldn't make it, she was just a vital piece of this. Like, we could not have pulled this off without her. She basically built all those Canvas courses and all of it. So I don't know what I did without her. We certainly didn't do 60 sessions in one day without her. So yeah, I don't know if you have any questions. That this is going to be in the shared drive. So yeah.
Questions or comments for Dr.
What's that?
Just thank you for tying all of that and putting it all together this year. Like, you do talk so much about curriculum and professional development that it's nice to teacher these, or to go home and look at the middle school, like curriculum stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions? I think it's a really interesting and important demonstration as to how intricate it really is of a puzzle to educate students. And I think it's a nice reminder for us, and it's good for everybody in the community too who thinks that it's simple and straightforward, because it's absolutely not. There's so much that goes into it.
And there's so much that goes into the days when their students are home,
Right.
that teachers are still working
Yes.
and really learning and trying to put in practice. So.
Absolutely.
And we spend a lot of time, and we're not going over the numbers now, but the exams, like the parents got the MCAS results a few weeks back, and all of that data is looked at by the staff, and you're looking at all the different work and the different programs that's going on. A lot of that becomes adjusted based on what we're getting for feedback from those types of summative exams, and not just the MCAS, but a lot of our homegrown exams. We're doing it through Bridges now and breaking down that data. So it's really creating a nice kind of process by which data comes in. It's not just to label a student or give them a letter grade. It's to look to see what's working, what's not working, and what needs to be adjustments. We can do that. And it's much easier when this is all laid out the way it is now and in place. And the PD that's there to support it, depending on what area we want to focus on. It's a nice model that people are familiar with now and used to and really embracing it. So thank you for your work, Dr. Martin.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a fun part.
Okay, if there's no further questions, Ms. Pazurski, you're going to love this. We can't do the minutes. We need Ms. Brady and or Mr. Greer.
See, the minutes for Mr. Miller's race for the elementary kids.
Oh, yeah.
Postpone one more time tomorrow, so.
Oh my God, it's raining tomorrow again.
I didn't realize I did.
See you in the spring.
Right, see you in the spring.
Yeah.
Is it going to be postponed or just pushed until spring?
Push to the spring.
Oh my God.
Right.
See,
If
there's
you
more time to
try it
practice.
again, it's gonna like
It's a
snow.
force.
It's snowing.
Please don't try.
I didn't even realize that tomorrow was Monday.
It's just, it's
Yeah.
brutal.
And just for the record, Mr. Greer is sick tonight. He has the flu, and Ms. Braid's son is sick, so she couldn't be here. That's why we're down 2 members tonight. That flu is really kind of tearing through us.
So we do need to go to an executive.
Yes, so we're going to, the school committee will go into executive session upon a motion and will not re-enter open session thereafter. Is there such a motion to do so on the floor? So moved from Ms. Stetson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Boyd. That's a roll call then, Ms. Pazurski.
Ms. Stetson?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Bessa?
Yes. Thank you, folks.